and welcome to 8 out of 10 Cats Does Countdown, the show about letters and... Wait a second. This is not 8 out of 10 Cats Does Countdown. What's up, lovers of whiskey and watchers of YouTube? I'm the Malt activist, and today we have with us a distillery that's not only just been closed down, it's been demolished. That's right, I am talking about the Caperdonich 18 Peated. Sorry about that little accident. I knocked the mic off the table, but that's okay. It's just only because I'm excited, and that's all. But before I begin, I just want to welcome our first-time viewers. Thank you for clicking into the channel. You have stumbled into a world of unbelievable whiskey knowledge and whiskey reviews and whiskey lists and whiskey vlogs and travel vlogs and whiskey rants and everything in between. So, you know where this is headed. Come on, why would I sell myself like this if I didn't want you to subscribe and hit that bell icon? So please do that. I promise you won't be disappointed. Absolutely. And to my returning viewers, thank you. Regular transmission has resumed, as I'm sure you're aware. Thank you for being the wind beneath my wings. Or as somebody said, that's too dramatic. So I said, thank you for being the wind that I just broke, I guess. Sorry, that came out wrong. All I'm saying is I love you and thank you for being back. Alright, so the whiskey at hand, the Caperdonich 18 Peated whiskey. Now, what do I know about this whiskey? I know a lot. About this whiskey, but I'll start off with what happened last week. So last week, my whiskey club, the Malt Society of Arabia, we had a pairing dinner at this lovely restaurant called Punjab Grill, where Chef Sandeep decided to put together a feast of unbelievable foods that he paired expertly with different whiskeys. Now, what whiskeys are we talking about here? I'm talking about the Secret Speyside whiskies. If you don't know what that is, well, let me tell you something. It's a Pernod Ricard brand, Secret Speyside, and it basically has 4 whiskeys in that portfolio. We have Glenkeith, we have Brace of Glenlivet, we have Longmorn, and we have what is in my hand today, Caperdonich. Okay, so we have Glenkeith, which is a very far-flung distillery. They have quite a number of expressions in that Secret Speyside range. I believe there's a 21-year-old, a 25-year-old, maybe even a 30-year-old. I'm not 100% sure. Same thing with the Longmorn. They have the Longmorn 18 for sure, but they have a few others. The Brace of Glenlivet. We have maybe a 25-year-old, a 27-year-old, and maybe even a 30-year-old. And with Caperdonich, we have the 18, we have the 21. I think we might have the 30 or the 25. I'm not 100% sure. But the whiskey that we have today is the Caperdonich 18. And what we had for dinner, this is where I was getting at. For dinner that day, we had 4 whiskeys from the Secret Speyside vault. We had the Glenkeith 21. We had the Brace of Glenlivet, 27 years old. We had the Caperdonich 18 Peated, which is in our hands right now. There you go. And finally, we had the Caperdonich 21 Unpeated. And sandwiched on either side, we started off with a nice cocktail made from the Glenlivet Master Distiller Reserve, and finally we ended it with a Chivas 18 infused in some really cool chocolate cake, and then you could drink all the Chivas 18 that you wanted. So it was a fantastic dinner. I had a great time with my club, drinking these very fine whiskeys. But from the lot, my absolute favorite was the Caperdonich 18 Peated whiskey, which if you know me, you know if you peat something, then I'm kind of going to fall in love with it. Not blindly, of course. I have my standards, but still, you know what strings you're pulling when you peat something and you give it to me. If one of my kids was peated, I would like that kid more. True story. Anyway, so we had the Caperdonich 18 Peated with one of the mains, and it stood out quite well. It really delivered. I thought it was my pick for the evening in terms of its overall mouthfeel and the flavors that it held, and served nicely at 48%. So what do we know about Caperdonich? Here's the interesting thing. I was doing my research and this is what I came across. Very interesting. In 1898, they built a distillery. So Glen Grant built a distillery just across from them, just across the road from them, and to meet up with demand, they said, well, let's build another distillery, and they gave it the most creative name you could give to a distillery. They called it Glen Grant number 2. That's right, Caperdonich used to be called Glen Grant number 2 because somebody could not be bothered coming up with a new name. Someone's like, well, we have Glen Grant number 1. Why don't we just call this Glen Grant number 2? Anyway, so that's what happened. So they built it in 1898, but literally 4 years later in 1902, the distillery stopped functioning, and it just sat there. It sat there like a fat dog on a couch, not doing anything for literally 63 years, because then in 1965 the distillery was reopened to serve. Again, there was high demand, and Glen Grant said, hey, somebody remember Glen Grant too? Well, yeah, it's still there. Let's open it up. And let's see if we can make some whiskeys out of it. So then what happened? 67, the site expanded to 4 stills, and then in 1977 the distillery was renamed to Caperdonich because the British government said, have you lost your minds? What are you doing? You have 2 distilleries by the same name? Jesus, nobody even names their twins the same. Change their goddamn names, because we won't know who to tax. Okay, so just call it something else. And somebody said, let's call it Caperdonich. And that's what it was called. And 85 original stills were reintroduced, blah, 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 blah. That's fine. But finally, and then in 2001, Caperdonich is sold to Pernod Ricard, the spirits giant. They bought this distillery and they said, we are going to take this distillery and make it the most amazing distillery ever created. We'll take it out from the ashes and put it up on the mountaintop, and people will see it and they'll be like, oh my God, this is the greatest distillery ever made. And Pernod Ricard said, yes, this is exactly what we're going to do. And then in 2002, a year later, they closed it down. Yes, because somebody went, who the hell bought this distillery? Why the hell did you buy this distillery? Is it still pretty? Just shut it down. We were better off when it was called Glen Grant 2. Bloody hell. And then literally 10 years later, in 2011, there was a board meeting going on in Pernod Ricard, and somebody said, well, I'm glad we knocked that distillery down. I want to build a clubhouse there. And somebody said, sir, it's still there. And they went, what? Why is it still there? And they said, I don't know. And they said, well, knock it the hell down, because, we need to expand and do some other stuff. So sadly, the Caperdonich distillery was demolished in 2011. And that's it. That means no more spirit ever from Caperdonich. In fact, the whiskey that we have here today is 18 years old. You know what that means? That means this is probably one of the last few runs of distillate made at the distillery, and I don't think we'll get anything ever younger than 18 years old. I don't know if there's any more stocks left. What's happening with Secret Speyside? I know they have older expressions of this, but I know they will never have a younger expression because, of course, the distillery never produced anything from 2002. And so there you go. That's it. So that's all I know about the distillery. It doesn't exist anymore. So we have a bit of a rarity in our hands, which I think is very, very nice. And sometimes, when you drink these whiskeys from closed distilleries, you wonder what they would have been making today versus what they did 20 odd years ago. But, I guess we'll never find out. Unless Pernod Ricard says, hey, guess what? We've decided to reopen the Caperdonich distillery and make some more whiskeys. But I don't think that's happening anytime soon. So, without further ado, let's get into it. There you go, just a small dram in these beautiful Malt Activist Capita glasses. Yes, so what do I know about this whiskey? Okay, this whiskey is matured in American oak barrels. Well done. It's matured for 18 years. We all know that. It's bottled at, thank you, at 48%. Well done. It says it is non-chill filtered. Excellent, good job. However, it does not say whether it's been colored or not. And since, I'm going to make a guess here. Since this is part, or used to be part of the Pernod Ricard portfolio and probably went into a lot of Chivas Regals, I'm going to assume there's a bit of color added to this. Please correct me if I'm wrong. So I don't know. The color looks fantastic. I don't know if it's natural or colored. I wish it's not. I hope it's not colored. But if it is, there's nothing I can do about it. At least I know that it's non-chill filtered. It's bottled at 48% and it is exactly 18 years old after having spent its entire life in American oak barrels. It doesn't say first or second fill. I'll leave that up to you guys to tell me because, you know, sometimes I'm just too lazy to do any research. Sorry. Okay. I know what you're thinking, like, knows the damn thing. Yes, of course I will. So, here you go. Woohoo! Dude! First thing, lots and lots and lots of toasted barley, heavy smoke, heavy peat, roasted coffee, burnt caramel, dark chocolate, red fruits, and vanilla. Seriously, this nose, it was, and very ashy too. I remember nosing this at the venue where we were having our event, and I went, holy smokes, Batman. I did not expect this level of peatiness in a Speyside whiskey. They certainly went all out. And you know what? I think they did a great job with the nose. I really, really liked it. For some guests, it was a bit too much, but then you let it sit and it sort of mellowed down nicely. The fruitier, more caramelly flavors became softer and they started to come out more. The sweetness came out a bit more. And it overall started working. So I thought this was a fantastic nose. I love a little bit of peat. This has a lot of it. So, you know, I was happy, and hey, give me as much peat as possible. I'm not complaining. I'm happy. I'm not sure where this peat is from. I think this is Speyside peat because it's a bit heathery. It's very earthy, unlike Isla peat, which is very salty and maritime. Yeah, I find this to be very heathery, earthy peat in a nice way. So yes, I like the nose. I think it does it for me. And I'm happy to drink it. So there you go. I guess I have nothing left for me to do but dance. Woo! All right, so slightly thin on the mouthfeel. I remember it being a little more creamy at the event than it is today. Even though it's non-chill filtered, it's slightly on the thin side. I would have expected to be a little more syrupy, a little more jammy, a little more viscosity in here. But you know what? I think I can live with the current mouthfeel. I think it's medium, kind of medium-ish. So I'm happy with that. I wish it was a little more full-bodied on the palate in terms of the texture, but it's not. But that's okay. But good flavors, good combination of flavors. I get dark honey, vanilla, toffee, butterscotch, milk chocolate, hints of leather, and that residue of spice, peppers that sort of lingers on your mouth. So, interesting whiskey, very, very big, robust, fills your mouth. I wish, like I said, and I mean robust in the explosion of flavors in my mouth. Not so much the mouthfeel. The mouthfeel is quite thin, like I said, medium thin. I would have expected to be a bit more, just when I read that a whiskey is non-chill filtered, I expect it to be a little more syrupy, a little more jammy, but this is not, but that's okay, because its flavors come through, and that's what I like about this whiskey. The flavors come through nicely. I'm now pretty certain that this is a mix of first, second, and even third fill bourbon barrels. I'm thinking even more second and third fill than first fills, because after 18 years, I'd expect it to be a little more sweet, but it's not. It's more on the savory bourbon side. And not on the sweet bourbon side, which a good first fill bourbon barrel would have given you that. But I get it. But again, this is just conjecture. These are just educated guesses or uneducated guesses that I'm making at this point. So it is what it is. There's not a lot of literature around in terms of the makeup or the recipe of this particular whiskey. I tried looking for it, so I guess that's why it's called Secret Speyside. Everything is a secret. So what I do like is that this expression is quite easily available. I think that they had a lot of stock sitting around, which they decided to mature and bottle it as single malt, which is good. I'm sure they must have produced a copious amount if it was going to go into a Chivas Regal blend, and therefore they kept a lot back and said, hey, I don't know, I think demand is going down for whiskey, so let's just keep this, let's not make any more. We will try putting something else in our blend. In the meantime, let it just sit in the warehouse, and maybe 18 years later we will bottle this as part of a new branding exercise. And then somebody at the Pernod Ricard meeting was, hey, let's call it Secret Speyside. They're like, yay, that's a cool name, we love secrets, everybody loves secrets. So they said, yeah, let's do that. And so we'll tell nobody. They're like, no, we'll make a website so that everybody knows about the Secret Speysides. But anyway, I'm just kidding. So yes, good whiskey. I like it. It was my pick of the evening. I thought it was very, very flavorful. I wish it was a little more robust on the mouthfeel, but it's not. That's okay. I like the fact that it's not very expensive, quite easily available. I think about £120 on UK online retail sites. You should be able to get it. I was lucky enough to get this courtesy of Pernod Ricard. So thank you, Pernod Ricard, for hooking up my whiskey club. Very kind of you, is much appreciated. Overall, we had a fun evening hanging out, tasting what I thought were very good whiskeys. The Brace of Glenlivet, 27-year-old. Oh, that was a good one. I think I'm going to do a review of that next. But in the meantime, yes, we have a closed distillery on our hands, the Caperdonich, with what I think is very, very decent whiskey. And to this I will give it a 7.5 B plus, which is an above average rating. If you ask me, if you watch the channel, you'll know this is an above average rating. So thank you, well done, and thank you for joining me for this whiskey review. I'm the Malt Activist. Until next time, peace.